So if I would watch from outside on it, I would say, okay, that will be difficult for Liverpool. And I don't even have to look from the outside because I'm inside and know, yes, that will be difficult. Because of the situation, all teams fight for everything, but obviously Tottenham has a massive quality. They are not, especially away from home, they are now not too much bothered about having the ball all the time, stuff like this. They defend compact and these kind of things, and then obviously some of the best counter-attacking players in the world.
We prepared the game very well, and I think we need to be very good without the ball, to be good defensively, and but if we want to win, and we have to be very good with the ball. And I said this to my players: we need to play a good game and to have brave when we have the ball. Don't be scared for their pressure.
Well, the reverse fixture of this match was fascinating. It was an amazing game to watch. It ended a 2-2 draw, David, but now with so much on the line for both of these teams, a point wouldn't be enough for either. So are we going to see an end-to-end match?
I think what's interesting is the fact that this game's before Man City's game, because obviously we'll talk about Man City, and the influence of this game on Man City will be even greater in one sense. End-to-end, what I like about Conte, I have to say, thinking about when they played Man City, he employed one special tactic to breach Man City's defence. Harry Kane talked about it after the game. We worked on this. He's saying we're prepared for the game. I think they've got something up their sleeve which could potentially upset Liverpool.
Ooh, what do you think that could be?
Well, scoring more goals than them. So yeah, but if it doesn't work, then we'll end up, I think, with this possibly a crazy game. Yeah. I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I hope so too. The run into the end of the season now, it's so exciting, so much on the line. You've got the title race, you've got the top four, you've got the rest of the European places, relegation as well. So there's all these games have all got something on them, really. When you look at the remaining games, though, Farah, is this match for Liverpool their toughest test until the end of the season in the Premier League?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think it will be a good game. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I've put that in my predictions. I actually think there'll be goals for both teams. But I think Liverpool are unstoppable at the moment. I don't think Tottenham will be able to cope with them. I do think they'll be able to score, but I don't think they'll be able to cope with the threat that Liverpool, and especially at home. Liverpool being at home with a crowd and in the final of the Champions League, off the back of that, I think it'll be too much at Anfield for Tottenham to go there and get any sort of result.
Yeah, a huge boost, of course, getting through to the Champions League final, psychologically, mentally for the players. But was the scare in the first half against Villarreal actually something that could work to Liverpool's advantage? I mean, they fought back Villarreal.
Yeah, well, it's the fact that they were scared and they might have been probably thinking at half-time, we could be in big trouble here, and then they just went, no, okay, no, we're not. It's look, in this week of all weeks, it's how you handle the setbacks. Obviously, City's setback came right at the end. There was nothing they could do about it. Well, they had the extra time, but they were gassed by that point. It was a gut punch. They were never getting through at that point for whatever reason. Liverpool, on the other hand, yeah, at half-time, everyone around the world is starting to think, surely not. Maybe in the dressing room, they're starting to think, surely not. But within, I don't know how long it was, they were winning again, and didn't just score in the last minute to sneak through on aggregate. Just came through and you come out of it like everybody says, ready to go again, full of momentum, and go back to Anfield with their own fans.
I feel like that's been the difference with this Liverpool team this season, is that even when they haven't performed well, they found a way to win. Yeah. So they didn't start that first half particularly well against Villarreal, and they got the result.
But what's interesting is
the changes that they can make that change the game and get results that they need, and score goals.
You're saying loads of goals. I mean, my player of the season is Alisson.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm a goalkeeper. When you look at what Alisson has done for Liverpool in this season, where they've won games 2 or 3-0, he's had to make big saves early in that game. And what we saw at Villarreal in that first half could have replicated itself on numerous occasions in the Premier League. So the Tottenham game is going to be fascinating, but if Ali's on form, then I agree with you that Tottenham will buckle.
Where does he rank for you in terms of Premier League goalkeepers then, Alisson?
This season, the best. I think he's Liverpool's player of the season. I think he is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. I'm a big fan of a few goalkeepers, I have to say, Ederson being one of them. But these saves, I mean, they come in crucial points at games, the way he controls the area, everything he does. And if he does something that's not quite right, he doesn't get flapped about it. He just continues back to default, which is a sensational level of performance. Can I have this video? Can you give me send it to me?
Well, he's got the most clean sheets this season with 20, which is one ahead of Ederson as well. So the stats are there as well, Javo.
Yeah, but as I say, the thing is, he's been making the saves at crucial points in the game. It's not when Liverpool are 3-0. I mean, he has made saves when Liverpool are 3-0 up, but so often Liverpool have been 0-0 in scrappy games. He's producing big saves, and then Liverpool go on and win. Without those performances, you don't have the bedrock to be able to go on and take them.
That's my point about finding a way, and whether it be him keeping him in a game, whether it be Diaz coming on making a change, or Salah, or Henderson in the middle dictating and
I'm not arguing.
ugly.
I'm not arguing against you.
No. I'm saying I feel like they found a way this year to win games, and they didn't have that before, and that's why they're on all fronts and four domestic trophies. It's crazy to think that they could do the quadruple.
As you say, in terms of the squad depth now, Sam, with Liverpool, it does feel like they've got game changers that can come off the bench and just completely turn a match around, just like Luis Diaz did on Tuesday.
They've got the best squad in the Premier League. I don't think they did at the start of the season, but Diaz has added that extra element. But it's more so as well in the midfield. When they won the title 2 years ago, they're a great midfield, but it was kind of, I'm almost thinking they kind of carried the water for the rest of the players. The front three were the front three. They scored all the goals. The back four were super reliable. The midfield were functional, very good, but functional. But now they've got so many different options in there. In Thiago, they've got somebody you can play like Man City play, if you want, with that. They've got Naby Keita, who's reliable when called upon, but, a couple of seasons ago, I think he's improved since then. Henderson can still come in and do the job, but he doesn't have to do it quite as often. They've got different options in there now, and obviously with Jota as well up front, they've got somebody who just scores goals, like out of not a lot. Yeah. Somebody who's incredibly good in the air, but he's not the best outside the box. I think his all-round game's probably not as good as Firmino at his best, but in terms of that goal threat he's got, they have got options everywhere. As
a goalkeeper, who do you fear the most in that Liverpool front three, whoever Jurgen Klopp would go for?
I just wish I had the opportunity to have a reason to be fearful. I think Diaz, what he offers you a bit of Coutinho, if I can use Liverpool references, because he'll pick a ball up outside the box and he can shoot. But as we saw in midweek, this guy can score with his head as well. He doesn't look like a header. Jota is arguably their number 9 player, more so than any other position. But I think Diaz, because he's got more range. I know what Mo Salah's going to do. Unfortunately, I know that he can do it very well, which would really upset me. But with Diaz, I would never be quite sure where he's going to shoot from and how he'd do it.
So how do Tottenham's defence keep Liverpool out then, Farah? Because obviously this game is so huge for Spurs as well. They're fighting for a place in the Champions League, which could make all the difference to a lot of things. Antonio Conte's future at the club, Harry Kane's future at the club, and new players coming in the summer as well.
I think it'll be difficult. I've predicted a high scoreline for the game. I think, look, it's difficult to stop that Liverpool front line, and because we don't know who's going to play. And I'm guessing when Conte's, setting up to play against his Liverpool team, he doesn't know what team Klopp's going to put out. You never can predict the starting 11. And I think that's difficult when you're setting up a back line. Most of the time, you'll know who you're coming up against and you can, practice for that during the week. But I just don't know what Klopp team's going to be put out. And so I think that's what will be difficult. And they'll have to adjust within the game. Look, I just don't think you can stop Liverpool scoring. Unless they have an off day, which I don't think they will. They've got momentum now. They're really kicking on. So I think it'll be really difficult for Tottenham.
At the other end of the pitch, though, they do have quite a decent forward line themselves with Harry Kane, Son and Kulusevski, who's been a great addition to their side. Son is actually the top scorer in the Premier League from open play, penalties not included. How has he continued to perform at this level and improve year on year, Sam?
Well, I think you look at the environment he's in, and in that sense, I mean the teammates, and obviously he's had a great relationship with Harry Kane. You go back to when Mourinho was there and it wasn't working brilliantly overall, but the relationship with Kane, talked about the plan that they had for Manchester City with Kane dropping off and playing the balls in behind. Son's always going to make those runs. Kane's another one there, exactly. That helps, but obviously you can't all say, it's because he's playing with Harry Kane. The other side of it is just because his own mentality. I think, when he was at Bayer Leverkusen, moving to a new country, completely different culture, different language. He's got the right mentality to keep working hard, do what he needs to do. And if you've got that right combination of you look after yourself and the environment looks after you, which is what they've got at Liverpool and why they're so good and why City got it so good and why maybe at Man United they haven't got it so well. That's why Son is so consistent over such a period of time.
How dangerous can they be against a Liverpool defence? We just talked about Alisson, who's kept the most clean sheets in the league, but at times they have looked like they can be got at.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying, Farah, because the one thing Van Dijk will play. Robertson will probably play, Trent will probably play because it's Tottenham as opposed to resting players and all like that. So then you look at what their flaws are, and the fact that Alisson's been exposed is because ball's over the top. I mean, I know it becomes a bit cliche, but it's true. Villarreal exposed it. You can go behind them. So I'd imagine Son and Harry Kane, whoever facilitates the other, Kulusevski, whoever it is to facilitate it, will be exploiting those three players in particular. Who plays as a partner will be a question. But if I'm Harry Kane and Son, I'm thinking not just that we got a chance of finishing fourth, but we got a chance of beating the team that no one can beat at the moment and actually putting a big feather in their cap.
And they can get at that Liverpool back line. And it's the move you talk about Son and why he gets his goals. Players that stretch back lines is horrible to defend against, and he does it so well. And as you say, with Liverpool fullbacks being so high and the runs from wide areas where Kane drops in, there is gaps in behind this Liverpool back line. It's whether the ball through is clean enough for them to get a clean shot, a goal.
I'm imagining Eric Dyer will be playing long balls. Seriously.
How can you see this top four race finishing then, Sam? Who's going to get it? Can you predict this, or are you going to...
No idea.
No
this is the thing with the
again.
top four race, and especially in the last few seasons, the teams are so inconsistent. We've seen it already with Arsenal and Tottenham in the last few weeks, losing back-to-back games. You just think, who's going to get it? And have either the team stabilised themselves to the extent that they can go on a run? I'm not sure. Obviously, the Tottenham-Arsenal game will probably have a big say in it. But just because it's teams going for the top four are not as consistent as the top two and not even as consistent as Chelsea. So if Tottenham were to maybe get a point at Anfield and beat Arsenal, if they drop points against Burnley, I wouldn't be massively surprised. So I don't know. I can't call it.
So Burnley are staying up?
I'm actually worried for Chelsea in the form that they're in at the minute. They're only 3 points off Arsenal with the remaining fixtures, and their form has just dipped. I mean, luckily they're at home at the weekend against Wolves, who aren't scoring many goals and not in great form. So that might get them back to winning ways. But yeah, they're only 3 points ahead, and they really slipped. I don't know whether they got comfortable in their position as third being secure, and now Arsenal and Tottenham have slowly crept up on them.
It looks as though it's between